Hi folks, Torpedo Heat here. Before I forget, please like, share, and follow me here on YouTube so you can get notifications about my other videos. Today, we're going to make a video on air pressure. Lots and lots and lots of people call me and they say, dude, I can't get no air pressure out of my heater. What's going on? So we're going to show you how to install an exhaust manifold and what you got to do for different models. Okay, obviously there's different manufacturers for heaters, so we will have your part on there. Just hold on and we'll get to it. Okay, we're going to start with this one. This is a Mr. Heater product. Okay, this thing has 6 holes in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes that hold that onto the back of the machine. You got your intake hole here, that's where the air goes in at, and you got your exhaust hole there, that's where the air comes out at. Okay, now you also have 1, 2, 3 holes that holds the filter cover on to this part. Okay, and it goes together like that, and you'll have the filter sandwiched in between in the middle. Okay, the problem is these 3 holes, 1, 2, 3, that hold the filter cover on there, if you notice, and I marked them, I don't know how well you can see that. There we go, that's a little bit better. Let me see if I can zoom in some. Okay, I marked them to show you the 3 holes that hold the filter cover on there. Okay, and if you notice, those holes go all the way through the manifold. Okay, now I'm going to show you another one. This is a DESA product. Okay, very popular. It's on many heaters that are out there. A lot of people have seen that part there. Okay, now you got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes to hold that onto the back of the motor. You got your intake hole there, and you got your exhaust hole there, and you got 1, 2, 3 holes to hold the filter cover on there. Okay, so your filter cover would sit on there like this, and you would sandwich your filter in between there. This one, okay, this one, the filter cover hole is right there. We'll turn that right over, and you can see it doesn't go through. Okay, so on this one, the only holes you got are the 6 holes to hold this to the back of the machine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that means there is no way for air to escape. All right, here's the other one. All right, it's got the same 6 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But here, 1, 2, 3. Those are the holes that hold the filter cover on there. Those holes go all the way through the exhaust manifold, making it possible for air to leak past the threads of the screws. Okay, so we're going to show you here what I'm talking about. Now, this one takes 3 screws, all right, and I'm going to show you the screws so that you get a pretty good idea. I hope you can see it. What you have to do is you have to put some Teflon tape on your screws. Okay, you can see the 2 screws on the right have Teflon tape on them. The one on the left doesn't. Okay, so you have your exhaust manifold. Okay, you have your filter that we don't have here. We're not going to worry about that. And you take and you put that together. All right, and you put your screws in there, and you catch your threads like this. Bear with me, folks. It's my hands are messed up. Okay, so you would have your filter cover on there like that with your 3 screw holes. 1, 2, 3. I only put 2 in there. Okay, and 2 of these screws, as you saw, had white Teflon tape on them. There's one with Teflon. This one doesn't have Teflon, and this one does, okay? You want all of them to have Teflon. Remember that. All of them have to have Teflon. Furthermore, this is a very fine machine thread, okay? So it's not a pipe thread. So that means you only have to put a little bit of Teflon tape, and it's preferable if you use the cheaper Teflon tape, okay? The cheap thin stuff is what you need for this when you're using machine thread. This is not a plumbing thread. Okay, so we showed you where the 3 holes, one, let me zoom out here, zoomed in too far. 1, 2, 3 holes there, and those holes go all the way through the manifold, which could allow air to leak past there. Okay, we showed you the round DESA filter and exhaust filter cover and exhaust manifold. This one here is a, thanks to the wind for moving that for me, this one here is a GHP product, okay, and it's the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 hole for your exhaust, 1 hole for your inlet. 1, 2, 3, 4 holes to hold the filter cover onto the, to hold your filter cover on there, okay? Now remember, you have to put Teflon tape on all your screws. Okay, so you got your filter in there, all right, and you got your filter cover with 4 screws with Teflon tape, and you bring those on down and you tighten those down until they're tight. Your filter will be in between here, and on this side you'll have a small gap. No problem there. Don't worry about that gap. As you can see, GHP products also have the holes that go all the way through the threads. The threads go all the way through, as you can see. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, and here's 4. Okay, those holes are for 1, 2, 3, 4. Those holes are the holes that hold the filter cover on there. Turn that right over. See? There's a screw in that hole right there. See that? Okay, so you have to put Teflon tape on those threads, or else you got a great chance in having air leaking through those threads, and then you're not going to be able to build up any pressure in the heater, and the heater is either not going to run or it's not going to run right. Okay, so we showed you the small round DESA, okay, and here's the other DESA, and this is very, very popular part. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this. Okay, there's your exhaust manifold. Here's your filter cover, and again, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes to hold that onto the machine. Intake hole and exhaust hole. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 holes hold the filter cover on there, because this filter cover has 4 screws. See there, you'll have your filter in there. We didn't put the filter in there, but you got 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. We'll turn this over, okay, and those 4 holes are right there. All right, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and those 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, as you can see, they go all the way through the manifold. So when you put a little bit of Teflon tape, and you can see that Teflon tape just on the head of the screw, okay, compared to one with no Teflon tape, okay, when you put the Teflon tape on there on the threads, it seals that up, and it doesn't allow air to leak past those threads. And then if the pump kit were in here, you wouldn't have to screw this screw down as far as you would normally, because you can't get any air pressure. Okay, so that's a big DESA, 125,000 BTU and up. And here we have a Pinnacle product. It's the teardrop filter cover. As you can see, it's shaped like a teardrop. Okay, and it's the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes to hold that onto the machine. 1 hole for your exhaust and 1 hole for your intake. 1, 2, 3, 4 holes to hold the filter cover on there, and turn it over, and I've already marked them, and you can see there that's one of the holes, 2 and 3, and then you got 1 down there, and those holes go all the way through. So you have to put Teflon tape on those holes. Okay, now, we got to go a step further. I think that concept, I've made it pretty clear. If you have holes that go all the way through to hold your filter cover, then you have to put Teflon tape on the threads, and that'll help you boost your air pressure. Okay, now, this is a GHP product. Okay, this one is a used one. And as you can see, there's 2 pump kits in it. That's because it has a high-low switch, a high-low rocker switch. Okay, but what we want to show you is the pressure gauge. If you notice, there's Teflon tape on the threads of the pressure gauge as well. And they are also machine threads, okay? So the pressure gauge goes right there, all right? So you would screw that in, yada, yada, yada. She's screwed in. This one is crooked and broke, so it doesn't matter. But you'll screw that in, and you'll have the Teflon tape on those threads, okay? This one is broken, it's crooked, it's just an example. I know it's crooked. Okay, so you have to put Teflon tape on the 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, that hold that onto the manifold. You have to put Teflon tape on your pressure gauge threads, which again, they're also machine threads. Now, if you notice, and I'm going to try to zoom in here, you don't put, I got Teflon tape on there as you see, but there's no Teflon tape on the face of it, okay? You don't want any Teflon tape on the face of it to make, to possibly get some debris or foreign material in the air system, because if you do, that will shut your heater off right away. Okay, so we know we got to put Teflon tape on the 4 screws that hold the filter cover on there if your screw holes go all the way through, because you remember the smaller DESA only has the 6 screws to hold it onto the machine, and 1, 2, 3, only 3 screws on this one. Those 3 holes don't go all the way through, so there's no way for air to leak through there. Okay, now we got to go a step further, because you understand that you have to seal up these threads and you have to seal up these threads on this, but on the exhaust manifold itself you have an air outlet fitting right there. It's a little plastic fitting, might be brass, might be plastic, it might be angled, it might be bent. Here's a couple different ones. Okay, there's 2 different ones there. Both of those are angled, but as you can see, there's Teflon tape on the threads of both of those, and those are also a machine thread. Okay, everything on the heater is a machine thread. There's no plumbing thread on the heater. So you want to use very thin, cheap Teflon tape, and that'll do it. Okay, so these are just some used scrapper parts, but you got your exhaust manifold, and there's the outlet hole right there. Okay, air floats through this area here. Okay, and makes its way out that hole, which in turn is right there, and you have to have a fitting. Okay, so you got your Teflon tape, you screw that in there, and I can already feel the Teflon tape starting to, grab a little bit so that it seals it up good. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put one together for you. Let's go with the GHP product. No, we'll go with the Mr. Heater. Mr. Heater product. It has screw holes that go all the way through. Okay. Excuse me. 1, 2, 3 holes go all the way through for the filter cover. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got your outlet and you got your inlet. Okay, so we don't have the filter cover here, or the filter kit here, because that's not what this video is about. But we're going to put it together for you and show you what you're supposed to do. Okay, now I got 2 screws on there. I'll just put the third one. Okay, remember you got your filter inside of there. All right, this sits like this, right like that. Okay, now you got your intake and your exhaust and your holes on the back, 1, 2, 3. So we know that we're going to seal up those threads. Okay, now this one has a plug in here right now, but we would also put the pressure gauge. Where'd the pressure gauge go? Here it is. Okay, we would take and put our pressure gauge, which also has Teflon tape on the threads, in this hole. See if we can get him going there. Okay. And I can feel that Teflon tape in there starting to squeeze and hold that together. Okay, this is backwards, I know. Okay, so you got Teflon tape on these 3 screws. You got Teflon tape on the threads of the pressure gauge. Now you have your air outlet. And on this one, that's your air outlet right there. Okay, they're all made differently. Okay, on this one, which is a GHP product, the double diamond shaped, your air outlet is right there on the side. Okay, so you got your Teflon tape on everything, these threads. Now you got to put your air outlet fitted on there. As you see, we got Teflon tape on the threads. So we just take and try to get him started, which is, my hands are messed up. I had a bad car accident, so you'll have to forgive me. Okay, we're just starting it there. Okay, so we've started that, and it's crooked, I know, but my hands are messed up. Okay, and that's got Teflon tape on the threads as well. So you tighten that down, and the Teflon tape would keep any air from leaking around these threads. Okay, no air is going to leak past these threads, and you're going to have your air come out of the tube here and make it up to your nozzle where you want it to go. Okay, so what you're doing when you're putting your exhaust manifold on is, if the holes for the filter cover go all the way through the manifold, like this one does, remember, here's your 3 holes, 1, 2, 3, okay, Teflon tape on these 3, Teflon tape on the pressure gauge, and Teflon tape on the air outlet. And that will tighten up that system so that you can get air pressure out of it. Otherwise, you're just going to be leaking air, and you're going to have an invisible leak, and you're not going to be able to find anything. You're not going to be able to find out where it's leaking from because you can't see air. Okay, so that's how you do it. You tighten up everything. Now, if you have this plug in here, as you see, I put that plug in there. There's a plug there. Take that out so you can see it. All right, see that hole there? There's a plug that goes in that hole. All right, that plug right there goes in that hole. All right, if you have a plug like you would have on a Dessa and another Dessa, okay, you have to put Teflon tape on the threads of these plugs, just like it was a pressure gauge, okay? Further, these are two Dessa products here, okay? The small one, get that out of your way so you can hopefully see. You see how close that is to where the pump kit goes? You see those two holes are close. If you try to put your pressure gauge on there, your pressure gauge is going to hit that top. Okay, so that's not going to work. You cannot put a pressure gauge on this Dessa cover, as well as the big for 125,000 BTU and up. This square one, very popular. Pump adjustment side, plug side. Okay, see, that's hidden there. Hear that? That's hidden there. So you cannot put a pressure gauge on there. That means that the plugs that go in there have to have Teflon taped around the threads, but not around the face of it, because you don't want to get any foreign objects in your air system. They'll go right up to your nozzle and shut it off. So, just to go over it one more time, we've sealed up the threads on the screws that hold the filter cover on there. We are going to seal up the threads for the pressure gauge. Okay, Teflon tape there. All right, and we also seal up the threads for the air outlet. You can see the Teflon tape on there. And that will tighten up that air pump system to a degree. You know, you might have air leaking somewhere else. You have to have good gaskets. Everything has to be tight. But that will seal up that air pressure system to wherein you should be able to get enough air out of it up to your nozzle to make it run. So again, folks, I didn't forget, if you can, give us a thumbs up. Follow us. We make a lot of torpedo heater repair videos, and we're an expert factory authorized repair outlet. So any questions you have, you know, feel free to call 216-801-6215. That's the number for torpedoheat.com. And we thank you. And as usual, everybody out there, have a good day.